Hi, I'm Michael Reeder. I'm with Hygeia Counseling Services in Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm doing a series on various types of mental health issues. And today I was going to cover depression. Before I continue, you can reach more about me on a couple of different websites. My main website is Hygeia Counseling. That's Hygeia counseling.com. And since we're talking about depression, you might want to look at BaltimoreDepressionCenter.com and BaltimoreDepressionCounseling.com. Some of these ideas are on some of those websites. It's a pretty typical thing for people to come to a mental health counselor and to be talking about topics that are related to depression. The interesting thing about this is that it's different for every single person who comes in. One person may come in saying they're feeling sad. Another person to come in and say they're sleeping 12 hours a night, have no energy, can't get up in the morning. Whereas another, they can't sleep. Their thoughts are going kind of quickly, and they're upset and isolating and not wanting to do anything, but they're not able to sleep. So it really varies. Some of the other common symptoms are rapid weight loss or weight gain, sort of foggy thinking. People often get worried that they're going crazy in some way because their thinking's not the same, and it's depression. Memory can be affected. Loss of interest in things that usually interest you, and a sense of hopelessness, like nothing's going to get better. So I've given a lot of thought to the different ways that I treat depression, and I don't like any one method. I like to work with my clients and figure out what works for them and then adapt the method. In fact, there's a few ways of working that are common across types of diagnoses that I work with, and one of them is being careful about the pacing of therapy. So someone may come in and want to go very slowly. They're embarrassed, or they're not sure they want to be here, or they want to take topics one at a time and see how we're doing with them. Someone else may come in and they want to get to work right away, and they want homework between sessions, which I'm happy to provide. And they want to have a list of goals and they want to execute on them. So looking at the pacing is important. Also, clarifying what my role is. Yes, I'm a mental health counselor, but that means a lot of different things to different people. So for one person, I may mainly be a listener. Someone who's depressed has been isolated for a while. The friends may have fallen away. They may have fallen away from their friends. They need somebody to talk to. I can play a role like that of a coach. Given the situation you're in, what do you think would be the next step? Let's map out the next steps. What's a first small step that would help with that problem? Encouraging people, helping them do some problem solving, being a safe, nurturing source of support, being a source of psychoeducation. So it widely varies. I also like to say that I have a holistic approach, and by that I mean mind, body, soul. To explain that further, I want to do something out of each of those three areas, and sometimes a fourth one, spirit, depending on the desires of my client I'm working with. So mind, how do thoughts affect feelings? It's often referred to in psychobabble as cognitive behavioral therapy, looking at the structure of thoughts, which often lead to depression. There's a certain style of thinking that tends to be present. Body, having my client research, giving them links to sources on nutrition, sources on exercise, the importance of sunlight, especially for seasonal affective disorder, depression in the wintertime usually. Taking a look at the many effects of nutrition and exercise on depression and other conditions. Spirit, we're taking a look not just at uh, connection to the divine, but more existentially, what's meaningful in life. So someone may be an agnostic or an atheist, and still very very loosely, I still use that term because they may need to connect to humanity. They may need to do something for mankind. They may need to take walks in nature and feel connected to the world. Why am I talking about this? Because I think people get depressed and anxious when they're not living their meaning. So for some people that's going to be spiritual or religious, and some people it's a search for meaning. It's more existential. Um, I've also been looking at the ways in which I approach depression, different toolboxes that I use. I want to go over a few of those with you. The first one is the relationship itself. It's important to have a counselor that you connect with. You might not connect with me, or you might not connect with your last therapist and connect well with me. So there's some things that you can't just quite measure in setting up a relationship. But you can expect a good therapist to listen to what you have to say and to care. You can expect a good therapist to be listening both for the content and for how you're feeling. And you can expect a good therapist to be respectful, positive regard. So the relationship is key. I already talked a little bit about cognitive behavioral therapy. There are styles of thinking that lead to depression. One of them might be having catastrophic thoughts. Nothing ever happens to me that's good, or everything always goes wrong. Similarly, having a negative filter. If you go through the day and 5 good things happen and 5 bad things happen, and you only notice the bad things, it gets depressing. And I know that's not rocket science, but after months of being stuck in that thinking, you stop noticing the flowers or the compliments, or you discount them as not real. So looking at the thoughts. I use meditation and guided imagery a lot with people. I use it more with anxiety, but frankly, anxiety and depression often go together. So finding a way to slow down, take a deep breath, gather your thoughts, slow your thoughts, realize that everything is reasonably okay. And often that's through meditation, a simple breathing exercise, or envisioning a calm place where you feel safe, where you trust what's going on. These things can help with depression, especially if there's a lot of stress wearing you down. Mentioned body-oriented approaches. There's some evidence showing vitamin D is deficient in some people who are depressed. There's stress formulas. The B12 often helps with memory and focus. So taking a look at those things in conjunction with a doctor or a nutritionist can be very important. Exercise in the morning, and everyone hates to hear that. If you're depressed, especially the type of depression where it's hard to get up in the morning, you don't want to hear, well, go to exercise, but if you can, and some people it's really hard to do in that state, but if you can, there's some studies showing that exercise, and especially morning exercise, helps some form of depression. Social relationships. One of the hallmarks of depression that I mentioned is isolating. Perhaps you're low energy and you don't want to go out and do things. Or perhaps you've got negative thinking going on and your brain is telling you that your friends no longer care about you, or your friends are tired of you, or no one wants to hear about that again. There's sometimes a little bit of truth to that stuff, but a little bit, because depression is a disease in some respects. It lies to you. It changes your thinking. It starts telling you that everyone doesn't want to see you, that there's no point in trying, that the one event that went badly with your friends means that all events will go badly with your friends. Stuff that doesn't make any logical sense, but feels really true when you're depressed. And it's not usually true. So social relationships can boost somebody who is feeling depressed. So I try to reconnect. What friends have you called in a while? What new friends could you make? Could you just get out to Starbucks and sit there, have a cup of coffee, work on a laptop, be around people? Sometimes that's all the energy somebody can muster, but that got them out of the house. And while we're on the topic of social relationships, what's fun, what's meaningful? Get out and do those things. I like to look at energy flow, and sometimes I mean that literally, as in what did you eat this morning, how much sleep did you get, how much power do you have. I also like to look at that more metaphorically in terms of, do you feel stuck in your life? Well, let's find an area, a topic, something that you can do that just feels like it's moving. Because stuck gets depressing, but being able to finish something. So sometimes we find a small task that when you're feeling better would be a small task, but is a big deal now, and getting it done, you feel less stuck, your energy is flowing, your life is flowing, your accomplishments are flowing. Then you can do something a little bit bigger, and we sort of half-step our way out of depression. I also have what I refer to sort of jokingly, but I refer to it as a tools and toys approach. I like to use concrete stuff to help people, and I think it's a really good idea. So I have card decks, card sort exercises. One of them is the Planning on Purpose deck, and it's a deck that you go through with possible things that matter to you in life, and you sort through them and you rank order them, and it can bring some clarity to, oh, that's what I care about, and I'm not doing that, and I'd be a lot happier if I was doing that. And we can talk about how to get there. I like, as long as I have them in stock, and I do right now, I have some seasonal affective disorder lights that I can loan out. I mean, why not? If somebody gets depressed in the winter when there's less light, those lamps are scientifically shown to help. It would be good to have the tool, right? I have stones, I have statuary, I have books around my office. I like to loan out books and do homework. So this is what I mean by concrete stuff. The homework exercise, if you want to do one. The card deck, the book, the light, the go research nutrition. So, tools and toys. So I hope you're getting the idea that there's no one way to go after depression. Sometimes we're looking at thoughts. Sometimes we're looking at social relationships. Sometimes we're looking at sleep. And it varies by every single person. But those are some of the more common methods that I tend to think of when I'm working with somebody who is feeling sad, low energy, fuzzy thinking, bad sleep or too much of it, hopeless, and a number of other conditions. So I hope this has been useful. I'd be very happy to answer questions. I do free 10-minute phone consultations, which you can sign up for at calendar.hygeia.counseling, Hygeia counseling.com. I'm based out of Baltimore, Maryland, as I said. And I've a couple phone numbers, but one of them is 877-823-3439. Email address is Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, @HygeiaCounseling.com. And take a look at my depression websites. Baltimore DepressionCenter.com and BaltimoreDepressionCounseling.com. Thank you, and I hope to see you shortly.